In this video, I will be exploring the archaeology of Hogwarts Legacy. This is the quest at the beginning of the game, taking control of my character for the first time. We are at some ruins along a seaside cliff. We need to reach the ruins over there, but before we do, I have already noticed some artifacts to examine on this cliff ledge. So we have some intact pottery vessels behind me here. Along the cliff edge there are wood beams sticking out, which may have once been a wooden structure extending out of the cliff to enclose this entire cliff ledge over to that bend over there. Oops, I just accidentally knocked into a pot before documenting its position. But that's okay, because it is surface scatter, and we can presume it has been moved by wind, water, or animals over the centuries. We still know its association with this zone of the ruined site. That we see this pattern here suggests that this part of the ledge had been a habitation area. In contrast, examining this entry cave where the portkey led us, we can see that aside from some natural remains of a deer skull and logs, there are no artifacts. This space could have been kept virtually clean as an entrance to the site, especially since we are in a magical world where people could be apparating into this cave. You wouldn't need any kind of scaffolding to reach the top, and would instead want to keep the space clear of trip hazards when magically teleporting into the cave. Continuing along the ledge, we see some larger pottery vessels and what appears to be a railing. Up here we have more railing pieces on the left along the edge of the cliff. And you can see here we have remnants angling off the side. There are also cut stone blocks bordering the edge. Over time the blocks have shifted, causing sections of the railing to fall into the water below. Next we come across some large fragments of wood starting to be exposed from the muddy ground. Typically, for wood to preserve, it wants it to either be in a very wet or a very dry environment. Now that they are exposed to the surface, they will probably decompose. On this side, you can see wood beams coming out where stairs would have been. Looking closer at this wood piece, we can see it has a round nail, which it would have been hand-forged. The time this game takes place in the 1800s, machine-cut square-headed nails were in use by Muggles instead, which allows us to date the site as older than the 1800s. There is also some green on the wood, which probably isn't paint, but could be moss growing. Up ahead, we can see lion statues flanking the next cave entry. Given that this is the wizarding world, I suspect that these lions represent the lion rampant of Godric Gryffindor. So either this site dates back to Gryffindor's time, or were of his house at Hogwarts, strong legions to what Gryffindor represented. We have some more remnants of a wood staircase. Jumping down for a closer look, we can see some erosion at work. This cave clearly gets flooded, and this indentation in the mud is exactly what you would see from a water flow. It can be presumed that these wood pieces have been washed down as well. Down here, it looks like we have more surviving architecture with columns carved out of the cave itself, and more railing pieces. Let's get rid of this magical barrier for a better look. Okay, we have some polished cut stone for this doorway's frame, with a rougher stone forming a wall on top. This wall has a few spots of white, so might have had a stucco or plaster covering in the past. We also have more carved columns down here. Looks like the closer we get to the main ruins, the more we see artificial structures rather than natural caverns. Going ahead a little, we can observe all the pieces coming together in the Reparo spell. The fragments had fallen into the rocks and into the water below, but as we can see, even Reparo has its limits. Some pieces are in the ground still, and also cannot repair stone that has been pulverized by the ocean below. Looking back, we can see the cliff edge and the cave we started in. Well, this is actually an artifact of the game's development, I wanted to quickly point out. You can see through the inside of this railing, which was part of the Reparo spell. This actually isn't too unusual since other Reparo railings have the same thing, except the others are aligned to each other, so you don't typically see. Then the interior walls be seen through, because there is no need for a two-sided texture in this model. All these models are actually hollow. Fairly typical for development. Just a little nugget of information I want to put in. Approaching this structure, we can see the lines are back, which again could represent Goldrick Gryffindor. Just to the left of the ground inside, we have a gold goblet. So either this was a habitation zone or had a ritualistic drinking. There are some stands for either magical fire or candles. They have the typical blacksmith scrollwork and the collars holding the feet together, which would be accurate for the period. Then the cage on top is riveted together. Over on the side we have a statue, probably of the occupant or patron of the site. Looks like he is holding a spellbook and a divination ball. The base is carved in symbols which look like something meant to resemble constellation signs in divination, and some that I recognize as Futhark runes. At the end we have a large mural with the same figure as the statue. On one side it looks like he has his divination ball,
Professor,
and on the other he is in an astronomy tower gazing at the stars. On the desk we have some cartomancy divination cards, and the spellbook on the floor next to the desk. I'm sure the game will tell us who this wizard is, but for now I am expecting this to be a seer from the Renaissance. Going outside around the back of the structure, we see fewer artifacts and signs of habitation. This column here has some finer detail than others we have seen. Then of course we have our main objective, which is giving us a view of something else. Taking a look, it appears much more ornate and modern, with the marble columns and a chandelier. There is a tall desk, lamps, iron carts. Above it clearly looks like a cave, so this is probably not a view of the past, but another location in the game's present. Looks like we have to travel through this magical portal to continue the story. Since that will take us away from these ruins, I will wrap up this video here. We can explore beyond the portal next time. Thank you for watching.